is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
It is day number 3 of our deep dive into Super Bowl 57, breaking down all angles of the Eagles and the Chiefs. Today, we are talking about matchups, the Chiefs offense versus the Eagles defense, Eagles offense versus the Chiefs defense, by talking to the matchup master herself, Pamela Maldonado, breaking down her read on all sides of this game and getting her favorite bets for Super Bowl 57. This is Covering the Spread right here on the FanDuel Podcast Network and numberFire.com. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com. Joined here, as mentioned, by Pamela Maldonado. Check her out on Twitter at PamelaM35. She's a betting analyst over at Yahoo. Pamela, happy Wednesday of Super Bowl week to you. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Last week, Austin was hit with an ice storm, didn't have power. This week, we do have power, and it's the week of Super Bowl, so I can't complain.
But like, for me at least, like the week before is when I do my prep and I get ready and stuff like that. So like, I feel like not having that week on top of like how terrible it is, like from a human perspective, not have power for that long and how many people that impacts. But like from a prep perspective, I feel like you'd be playing catch up this whole week then.
Everybody has an extra 5 days ahead of me. They had the entire week last week. I did all of my Super Bowl homework Monday and Tuesday morning. So I'm caught up. But
so not only are you like trying to get your house back in order, trying to like get your phone charged again and stuff like that, but also having to do 7 days of prep in a 2-day window.
Window. Grocery shopping has been fun because the shelves are kind of empty because of the no power outage from last week. So yeah, you're trying to balance life, you're trying to balance work, but hey, that's what makes things interesting, right? Let's look at it that way.
We'll go with that. That's I love that viewpoint. I would not have that vantage point. I'd just be mad at the world right now. So kudos to you for not being me in that regard, but I'm glad things got back. That is a lot to deal with. That is just a massive bummer for an entire city to deal with that for so long. It's tough. So I'm glad things are getting back to order there now. But Pamela, while we have you here, I did want to ask you a question because my wife and I are big into Formula One, Drive to Survive, but 2 of the sports you cover closely have Netflix documentaries either out or coming out. You got Full Swing coming out soon. Breakpoint is out for tennis. And I'm more of a golf person than a tennis person, but if you were me and pitching me on one of these shows, which one do you think I should go to once I have more time post Super Bowl?
Tennis.
Okay. Fast answer. Okay, tell me why.
I'm not even going to try to sell you on it. It's just I am obsessed with the game, and now they've added the storylines to make you fall in love with the players.
Yeah.
So that's what the difference is. And I'm sure it's going to be just as good when it comes with the PGA when they release that one. But I actually haven't seen the Formula One documentary. Now I feel like I need to, just because of how good the tennis one has been.
Yeah.
So if you love the game of tennis, now here's your opportunity to fall in love with the players.
Okay, that's good. I've got my Formula One hat on right now for Valtteri Bottas. He has a full scene in Drive to Survive where he's like naked in a sauna. So like, if you need like whatever, it's got sex appeal, it's got everything, you're good to go. Whatever you need for that, it's totally there. But we'll check out the Breakpoint one to see how that goes. I'm gonna watch the golf one too.
It's been great. It has been great. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but I am locked into them.
Okay,
I'll catch up. Well, now that my power's back, I'll be able to catch up on some of those episodes.
Well, that's good. We didn't get to talk the Phoenix Open on yesterday's show because we didn't have a golf show for this week. Any guys you're on for the WM Phoenix Open this week?
I really do love first round leader bets, and I took Rory McIlroy. He has been in the 2022 season. McIlroy was really good to me in first round leader bets. When you have these strong field events, a course that is, let's be honest, TPC courses aren't the most difficult. So he has the most well-rounded, all-around complete game, in my opinion. He's great off the tee. He's great with his iron shots. He's one heck of a short game player. He's coming off a win in Dubai. So Rory McIlroy, for me, you're getting a lot better odds at 18-1 for a first-round leader bet compared to his 8-1 to win as an outright. So I took him as a first-round leader. And if he doesn't win the first round, I'm probably going to fire him to win the second round. And then potentially you could find better odds on him to win as an outright after round 1 or round 2.
Love it. Rory versus Rahm is like a poster style matchup for this weekend. So I'm excited for that
Rory.
for sure. Yeah, we get a full weekend of good sports. We're going to talk about the finisher on all that. Super Bowl 57 breakdown, Pamela's thoughts on all that here in just 1 second. But first, a reminder to make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcast. We had JJ Zachariason on yesterday breaking down his favorite player props for this game. Joe Ostrowski broke down all the weird props like halftime show stuff, anthem singer stuff. Joe has that covered because I know nothing about it. Those are up on the Covering the Spread podcast feed now and over on the FanDuel YouTube page. Make sure you're subscribed to get those right as they are posted. Get a piece of $10 million in bonus bets with FanDuel's Kick of Destiny. All you have to do is place a $5 bet on Super Bowl 57. And if Gronk kicks a field goal live during the game, you'll get a piece of $10 million in bonus bets. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. Gronk kick, you win. It's as simple as that. So don't miss out on the Kick of Destiny on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus in select states. For minimum $5 wager required. Award may vary. Minimum $5. Projected max $20. Bonus award issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. All participants are eligible for the bonus award. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. In Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In Connecticut, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Indiana, 1-800-9-WIN-IT. In Kansas and Wyoming, 1-800-522-4700. Or in Kansas, ksgamblinghelp.com. Louisiana, 1-877-770-STOP. In Maryland, mdgamblinghelp.org. In West Virginia, 1-800-GAMBLER.net. Or in New York, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Now, we're going to dig into specific matchups here in a second, Pamela, but I want to get your overall view of this game. Right now, we've got the Eagles as 1.5-point favorites of FanDuel Sportsbook. Any of the traditional market bets stand out to you for this game?
Well, when we're first looking at what this matchup is, people are always just going to look straight to the quarterbacks. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. But for me, it really is strength of schedule versus strength of schedule. You know me, I like to look for strength versus weakness. And I just feel like there's a huge discrepancy when you're looking at strength of schedule. The Eagles have had one hell of an easy path to the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to discredit them because you are given the schedule that you work with, and they've done what they're supposed to do, which is destroy all of these cupcake opponents. But they've had 6 games, the Eagles, all season facing defenses inside the top 10 for defense DVOA. San Francisco, they almost use a running back as a quarterback, so kind of throw that out the window. The Saints, when they played against the Saints, that was good, but Jalen Hurts was out of that game. They played Dallas twice, but once was with Gardner Minshew as a quarterback. The other was with Cooper Rush as the Cowboys quarterback. And then they faced Washington twice, which one of those was a loss. And the offenses that they played, the Eagles had faced only one the entire season, one noteworthy quarterback, and that was Aaron Rodgers. Has Aaron Rodgers done anything this season to say that he has been the elite quarterback that we're used to seeing from him? I said it again. You work with the schedule that you get, but the Chiefs' path, in my opinion, has just been far more difficult. Looking at the slate of opponents that they have faced, you're talking about quarterbacks in Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Tom Brady. It is just a different level of competition, different level of quarterbacks that they have faced. And they faced good defenses, the Chiefs against the Broncos, the Rams, the Titans, the Niners. So it's just been, in my opinion, a much more difficult slate of opponents. For me, it says that the Chiefs are ready and the Eagles, not going to say that they're sleeping because it's a Super Bowl,
right?
But just a level of preparedness, that mindset coming into this, one of these teams is going to be far more prepared than the other.
I'd agree with that. And I think that's why I had the Chiefs money line. It's currently plus 104 at FanDuel Sportsbook. I took it to plus 110. Is it enough of an edge for you in that regard? Where you think the Chiefs are undervalued in that market? Do you want the money line there? Do you want the points? Or is it more so saying if you were to bet it, you would lean towards the Chiefs?
No, I love the Chiefs, but a caveat, I'm probably on the complete season, I'm probably like 1-8 betting against the Eagles.
I'm probably
going to be looking to the prop market instead, finding ways to bet on the Chiefs without having to put on their money line. And one way that you can do that is Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP, because if the Chiefs money line right now is plus 105, but he's plus 135 to win the MVP. So if the Chiefs win, it is because Mahomes is doing the things that he's supposed to do. These weird sidearm passes, just like these super out of the box thinking type of throws that no other quarterback physically cannot do, including Jalen Hurts himself. As good as he's been this season, we are still talking about Mahomes. So if they get it done on that ankle that hopefully right now is recovering, then it's going to be Mahomes for MVP. So that's one way to bet the Chiefs without betting the Chiefs.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I've also lost money against the Eagles this year. I had the 49ers in that game. They had that one touchdown drive with Josh Johnson in there, gave me like some hope, which was, I wish it hadn't, honestly. I would have been a lot better off if they hadn't done that. Luckily, the second half, it was dust, so that helped. But
you did ask what about traditional markets that I do like.
Yes.
So looking at that, I do love the under in this matchup.
Okay.
Right now, shop around because you can find 51, which is the number that I grabbed. In some spots, it's sitting at 50.5. But this is all about time of possession. What have we seen from the Chiefs? We know that Patrick Mahomes, we know the Eagles like to work fast, but the Chiefs offense, they know and they know how. They know when and how to slow things down. And you've seen it in the postseason. The Chiefs won the time of possession in both matchups against the Jaguars and the Bengals, 35 minutes to 25, and then 32 minutes to 27, respectively. But the Chiefs offense in last season, they were top 5 for deep throws, but that's also because they had players like Tyreek Hill. Now that they no longer have that weapon at their disposal, they've become now switched to top 10 in throws between 1 to 9 air yards. Well, what does that create opportunities for? Short underneath passes, extending the plays, draining the clock. Now you've seen Mahomes, especially in the postseason, have these long duration 6-minute drives. There's nothing better for an under than a 6-minute drive that ends in a field goal. And that's exactly what the Chiefs have been doing. They've had 10 scoring drives in the postseason. 7 of those were at minimum 4.5 minutes. So I love the under on 51.
Yeah, and 51 is a key number. So if you can get a push in 51, that's a huge edge to get. So it's 50.5 at FanDuel, but if you can get 51 elsewhere and get that key number, get a push there, that makes a huge difference. So smart as always to shop around there. Okay, now when we first had you on to talk college football, I was impressed with like your depth of knowledge in terms of which matchups are mismatches and what that means. I think that's the key part is what that means. We know that like we can spot mismatches, but you're good at identifying how to leverage that. So let's talk about both sides of the ball here, starting off with the Eagles offense against the Chiefs defense. And there's been a lot of discussion, obviously, around the Eagles rushing offense and the Chiefs rushing defense. But when you look at this matchup, is that the key thing you focus on? Is there other stuff that stands out to you? What's the focal point for you when the Eagles offense is on the field?
When you look at typical games in the regular season, it is a lot easier to target strength versus weakness.
Right.
Now, when it's the Super Bowl and you have a coach like Andy Reid and Sirianni, now it becomes strength versus strength.
Right.
And so you're kind of having to decipher which strength is just a little bit better than the other teams. And for me, this is going to be a prop that I love. Looking at strength versus strength is the Eagles under 1.5 rushing touchdowns. The Eagles lead the NFL in most rushing scores with 32 on the season. But now you're talking about the strength of the Chiefs defense. They are 4th best in limiting opponent rushing touchdowns allowed, but they're actually 2nd worst in passing scores allowed. That is a huge discrepancy. So I know that we love the Eagles as a rush heavy offense. We've seen Jalen Hurts rush it in himself. I believe that the Eagles are going to have a lot more difficulty on the ground this time around, are going to have to be forced to throwing it in the air. So I love the Eagles under 1.5 rushing touchdowns. This season, the Chiefs defense has given up a total of 5 total rushing scores to opponents' top running backs, and 2 of which came from Derrick Henry. Now, I love me some Jalen Hurts, but he ain't no Derrick Henry. That does not dethrone the king over here. And in the 6 games, there have been only 6 games where the defense there have only been 6 games where the Eagles have faced a defense top 10 for rushing touchdowns allowed. In 5 of those 6, the Eagles scored just 1 rushing score. So I love the under on 1.5 rushing scores for the Eagles.
So it's a situation where you respect the Eagles rushing offense, but A, it's a big number, and B, the Chiefs are also good in that department. So it makes sense that you're looking for strength versus strength and kind of deciding where the books may be overestimating the team's strength potentially. Is that the way you're kind of viewing it?
Exactly. And you're also considering other factors like red zone defense. I'm seeing how good the Chiefs defense is when to get downfield.
Right.
Maybe forcing more field goals and then touchdowns. If Jalen Hurts is going to have to pass the ball, is his shoulder 100% healthy?
Right.
There's a potential here. And then the Chiefs have been really good with interceptions. There's a potential that he can end up picking one off into the end zone.
Right.
So there's a lot of factors that play into this. And Jalen Hurts, as good he is on the ground, who do the Chiefs get to practice with every day? A mobile quarterback just as
Right.
well. So I believe that they can be prepared for somebody like a Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. And it's a situation too where this whole 2 weeks we've been talking about, the Eagles rush offense. Well, sportsbooks know that, and they're going to account for that. So you're not going to catch them sleeping there by any means. So I think that makes sense. Under 1.5 rushing touchdowns to the Eagles, where Pamela is going there. Okay. Talk about the other side here. We got the Chiefs offense against the Eagles defense. Again, it is strength on strength here. So what do you see within this individual matchup when the Chiefs offense is on the field?
Now, I do really like, you think Mahomes, you see the Chiefs, and you think passing. So let me look to the run game. Where everybody else is looking left, I'm looking right. So for me, I really love the Chiefs running back, Isaiah Pacheco, over 49.5 rushing yards. You have Mahomes, so why do you need a run? That's always going to be the question, but it's because it really is a good matchup for the Chiefs run game. Not only is Pacheco finding open lanes, but he's avoiding backfield contact, and that's huge for this matchup. He's been contacted behind the line of scrimmage at the league's lowest rate. And the Eagles defense, as good of a defense as it's been, they're 18th in backfield contact rate. They're 24th in rate allowed, allowing 3+ yards before contact. And if you look at the 19 games that the Eagles have played in, the Philadelphia defense, they have allowed RB1 over this total in 14 games, including 84 to Christian McCaffrey in the conference championship. And Pacheco, he is seeing now over 30% of the snap share. I believe that he gets it here. I really, really love Pacheco. He's kind of developing not only into this running back, but now they're utilizing him in the passing game as well. So you could also consider over 69.5 rushing plus receiving, because we know he had 59 receiving yards against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. And we still see that the Chiefs wide receivers kind of still dealing with injuries. So potentially he's going to be utilized more here in the passing game. Mecole Hardman has already been rolled out. Juju and Tony, they're both still on the injury list. And you know that Andy Reid, he is a play calling genius. So he's going to use all options available. So I love Pacheco potentially having a huge game, both on the ground and in the passing game.
So a question for you. Is it huge enough where I can justify scrolling over to the MVP market? Isaiah Pacheco is 50-1. I've been trying to sell people on this all week, and no one has taken the bait yet. I agree with your thought process where his role increased in the conference championship. He played well to justify that. And he's been getting a lot of yardage to begin with. Also, he returns kicks. And you think about like defining moments in Super Bowls, kickoff return touchdown could be one of those. So I think that your market is smarter, taking the rushing yardage prop. I want to say
risk.
that.
Yeah.
Would you consider Pacheco 50-1 MVP, or is that too much of a reach for you to justify?
50-1. Okay, first off, this is the Super Bowl. Fire on everything. This is a game that only comes once a year. You're getting 50-1 odds. Even if it doesn't hit, put $5-10 on it just to have an additional ticket.
Yeah.
And you're now rooting actively for a Chiefs player, especially if you do like the Chiefs. 100% I would put that on. Still, I like Mahomes for the MVP, though.
I think that's the better bet. That's definitely the better bet, but we're unhinged here, for the Super Bowl. So that's where
Fire at will. Go.
Yeah. It hasn't moved, and I'm like, maybe I'm the dumb one here. Like, it hasn't shortened from 50, and I'm like, oh, maybe.
You know what? I have bet a lot worse things in the PGA. So for something like this for the MVP role in a once a year event, you take it.
I mean, I bet NASCAR. It's the same thing. I made a lot of dumb bets in my life, so this doesn't bother me at all.
If
Absolutely
you can bet
not.
Russian table tennis during COVID, then you can do 50-1 on an MVP for truly a valuable player.
I never got that far. I never got that far. But it was considered. I'll put it that way for sure. I had to do play-by-play for like Madden streams and stuff like that, so it got dark, but not quite Russian table tennis dark as of now. Okay, let's go back to the props here. Are there any other props you like for this game? You've already talked about a couple. We talked about the under for this game, the Eagles rushing touchdowns under, Pacheco as well. Anything else you like in the prop department here?
I really love defensive props, so I love the defense here for the Chiefs here. I think it's super underrated because it's the Eagles defense and they're supposedly the best defense in the league. the Chiefs is not getting enough love. So I love Jalen Hurts to throw an interception at plus money, plus 115. You're going to see that the Chiefs, like I mentioned, the Eagles are going to get all the respect, but it's going to be the Chiefs that really does show out here. I've talked about, Stephen, I think the team, let me rephrase this. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Those are going to be the two storylines that you're going to see a lot. I think the one that is not at all getting any enough attention is the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs in Steve Spagnuolo. This is his 5th Super Bowl appearance. So please tell me who on the coaching staff for either side has more postseason experience than he does. Everyone is thinking Mahomes and Hurts. I'm thinking Andy Reid and Spagnuolo against Sirianni. If you can eliminate that run pass option, make the Eagles limit them from running the ball, bottle up the run game, force the Philadelphia offense to catch from the outside, force Hurts to beat you in the air, that is where the defense is going to come, and that's where the difference is going to come into play. And that's where the potential for Jalen Hurts to throw an interception, because the Chiefs defense has stepped up this in the second half of the season. And the Eagles defense, as much love as they received, they've actually dropped off. And let me tell you how. In the first 10 games of the season, the Chiefs have forced only 5 interceptions in the first 10 games. The Eagles forced 13. In the second half of the season, this is Spagnuolo doing his thing, working his magic, finding the plugs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have forced 9 interceptions in the last 9 games, including 3 picks from Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence in the postseason. In the Eagles' last 9 games, only 5 interceptions. And that's because 2 were from Aaron Rodgers, who we already talked about. It's kind of like, oh, what happened to him? And 1 was from Dak Prescott, who leads the league in the most interceptions of quarterbacks. So it's a tale of 2 stories. Yes, the Eagles lead in interceptions percentage for opponents, but not in the second half of the season. Either they're getting too comfortable, or it's the Chiefs defense, just Steve Spagnuolo, doing his magic and trying to find what is the adjustments need to be made. I really love Jalen Hurts to throw an interception here, especially that it's at plus money.
Well, and you think about the Chiefs defense, they're so young. It makes sense they would struggle to start and then improve as the year goes along, because they get those like later round rookies ramped up, get them integrated with the defense, and it makes sense they get better as the year goes along. Now, question for you. How many times do you think this year Jalen Hurts has thrown a pass while trailing in the second half, including postseason? How many total pass attempts in those situations?
Isn't it 0 for both Mahomes and?
So it's 22 for Hurts the entire year, but that means every single game, 22 total pass attempts while trailing, which means he hasn't been in a lot of adverse situations. Right, yeah. Exactly. Gardner Minshew actually had more, which tells you, A, Jalen Hurts is really freaking good. But B, they haven't been in these bad situations very often, which is when you get picks. Right. We that's how you get picks, is when you're trailing, you know the offense is going to throw, stuff like that. And we haven't seen the Eagles in that spot yet. So
does he have gumption to keep it together, keep his head on straight, not get overwhelmed, not force these pressure situations? And then, against one of the best, I'm going to say this is one of the best defenses in the Chiefs, super underrated, undervalued, because it's a lot of young talent. So you're not going to get the recognitions because they're not big names yet.
And they're very aggressive too. And like aggression can lead to big plays for AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, but can also lead to picks. So I think that getting plus 115 over one pick, to throw one pick, I think that makes a lot of sense for sure.
Devontae Smith is not always going to get away with one-handed catches.
Or non-catches, depending on how many reviews we get.
Non-catches.
Right, exactly. Okay, we talked about the weird stuff with Joe, so we got all that covered. Anything else you like for this? If you've got some weird anthem bets, feel free to dump them here. But anything else you like for the Super Bowl?
Fun, right? This is a Super Bowl. It's only once a year, so I want to do first touchdown. It's super hard to predict a touchdown and who's going to get it, but I want to go with first touchdown, and I'm going with Patrick Mahomes at 28-1.
Love it.
All the love is going to Jalen Hurts because of how fast the Eagles start on offense, and Jalen Hurts likes to run it in. I've already talked about how I like the Chiefs to limit that run game, so I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes 28-1 for a first touchdown. He's had 2 weeks to rest his ankle, and the Eagles defense is 22nd against rushing touchdowns allowed versus top 10 against passing touchdowns allowed. The Eagles have not faced the entire season a mobile quarterback, but they did allow the New York Giants quarterbacks, and I say quarterbacks because it was Daniel Jones plus the backups in that Week 18 matchup to rush one in. And we know that the Giants are all about that run game. And Mahomes in the 2019 Super Bowl against the 49ers, He was the first rushing score touchdown of the game, and he's had 4 this season against, I would say, comparable defenses. And so Mahomes, you can find him at plus 375 for any time touchdown. I would probably put that as well as kind of like a 2-bet, but 28-1 for a first touchdown. I'm in love with that.
I had no idea Davis Webb had a rushing touchdown in that game. Week 18, he did. He had 6 rushes for 41 yards and a touchdown.
Exactly.
That's
so
bananas.
Now you have Mahomes, who
That's
loves
Davis Webb. Like Davis Webb, or like Mahomes hopping on one leg like he was in the Jags game, probably going to outrun Davis Webb. Like Mahomes isn't like crazy fast, but he's shifty. And like, I think this is the one area, like I thought we'd get Mahomes discounted in the rushing yardage department because of the injury. We're not. It's 19.5. That makes sense. But this is the one area where you are getting a bit of a discount still, because Mahomes typically is around 20-1 for a first touchdown. If it's like a neutral script, and we're getting him at 28. That's pretty good. So I think that makes a lot of sense too.
Exactly. And it's Andy Reid. And I just love his play calling abilities. Yeah. And if you get down in the end zone, and that's what it is with Mahomes, they can have all of these RPO options and they're going to have designed runs, but then he's going to just like scramble out of the pocket, sees an opening, and he's going to jet for it.
Right.
Now, whether he gets there or not, that's a look at the draw. But that's what Mahomes is able to do. He's able to create situations where none exist, especially when you're down in the goal line. I'm going to trust him every time.
I mean, in the 49ers Super Bowl, the first one, he scored on an option play. Like, they might not run that, but like they'll get weird. They're more than happy to get weird. So I think that makes a lot of sense as well.
And tell me that Andy Reid is not calling up something, because he knows, everybody knows, the world knows how strong of an offense the Eagles have in the first half of games. Tell me that Andy Reid is not going to be like, all right, I see what y'all are doing. Now I'm going to do it better.
Yep. Kadarius Toney pass attempt. I think that's coming. I think, we've got all these like weird Andy Reid things going through my head. So
and that could also be another prop bet option.
It's 2.5. It's plus 154. Oh, receiving touchdown. Oh, okay.
Any quarterback to have a receiving touchdown.
The Philly special bet.
The Philly special is always in play. Yep. But then we saw Andy Reid. What was it? What game was it? It was week 17, week 16, where they did that ring around the posy.
Oh yeah.
merry-go-round situation. I mean, anything can happen. It's a Super Bowl. As much it is about winning the game, it's also about entertainment. And you can be entertaining and still win. That
was the Andy Reid, like, we're going to make them focus on this for 5 minutes play. Like, he's just like trying to mess around with them at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that is awesome. Mahomes first touchdown, 28-1. I think that is a fun one as well. That is all that we have here for today. Pamela, I want to thank you once again for swinging by. I know that, again, last week was hectic. I appreciate you still making time to come on, even though it is one of the more fun golf weeks of the year as well. Good luck to you with betting the Phoenix Open. Good luck betting the Super Bowl. Good luck betting tennis as that's rolling around as well. And I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Good luck with your bets and enjoy the Super Bowl.
Alrighty, check out Pamela on Twitter at Pamela M35. Check her out over at Yahoo as well. I'm on Twitter at Jim Sonis. You can find Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcast. Tomorrow, Ryan Williams is with us to break down the game overall traditional markets for Eagles versus Chiefs. This has been Covering the Spread right here on the FanDuel Podcast Network.